A wet and drying race yesterday led to a fantastic display of racing talent from Toyota GR Cup North America. The skies have cleared, however, for this Sunday race 2 from Wisconsin, and we are ready for yet another fantastic display of young racing talent here in a series that Toyota has championed, and we have championed for 3 years now. The championship continues to heat up, and the action on the track continues to be spectacular. My name is DJ Clark, joined in the commentary booth alongside Ryan Marine. Ryan, you can see the cars lining up onto the grid, and yesterday we had a first-time winner this year in the form of Spike Kohlbecker. He was finally able to break his duck in 2025 and return to the top step of the podium.
It was a long time coming, wasn't it, DJ, for Spike, who was a championship runner-up a year ago, a 5-time race winner previously. Finally gets that first win this season to maybe right the ship a little bit and try and mount a challenge towards the tail end of the year.
Yeah, we'll have to see what he is able to do in that RVA Graphics Motorsport by Speed Syndicate scene. As we mentioned earlier, track temperature at 87 degrees, about 71% humidity, 73 in the air. It's just about as perfect as you could imagine for racing conditions. A far cry from where it was yesterday.
Oh, amazing, the changes. We do have the clouds overhead, but other than that, basically no similarity to what we saw yesterday, where the track was very much wet at the start of the race. Everybody started on the wet tires and then had to manage them through the checkered flag when the track was starting to dry out, and that clearly was not the tire you ideally would be on, but everyone was able to manage it, and it made for some spectacular racing with cars sliding all over the place.
Yeah, slipping, sliding, staying out onto the grass. Very, very tricky conditions, as we said. But let's go ahead and take a look back at exactly what happened yesterday, because it was a wild, wild bonanza. Can't wait to be able to see what that was. There you can see the conditions, spray coming back into the air as it was a run down into turn 1. A first-time pole sitter in the form of Max Schweid taking the fight, and a lot of drivers fighting for visibility as they continue to keep rolling here. There you saw a big off by Will Robusto. That was not an uncommon sight. And there you saw contact with Robusto and the number 22 of Fletcher coming into turn 1. That would turn into a penalty for Robusto. Peyton Fine finding the outside, as well as the number 41 of Jensen Sofronis. Damage abounding for everyone, but fantastic action. Robusto and Schweid going side by side before Robusto had to serve that penalty. He wanted to get back to the lead. Christian Weir and Ethan Goulart getting a little bit off and into the grass on the outside of Canada Corner. And up front, it was a good battle to see Jackson Bell charge through the field. Spike Kohlbecker would not be denied, as we mentioned earlier, in that number 55 Vanguard machine. A big slide up front was what opened the door for Kohlbecker, and he never looked back. A little bit of a push from Jackson Bell, and Kohlbecker coming through the final corner for the first time this year to see the checkered flag. It was a great run for Kohlbecker. It was a great run for the whole field. We stayed relatively clean and green for the entire race. A real testament to the driving ability for these young drivers.
It was remarkable, given the conditions. Treacherous to begin with, and constantly changing, constantly evolving. Those are the types of conditions that can easily catch you out, but even in a field with so many cars, even with drivers making their first ever start in the series, we saw a display of really high-level driving, which has me anxious for what's to come.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what can play out in these dry conditions. Talked to a couple drivers yesterday that said the rut really did catch them out a little bit. I'm also going to be very interested to see what the number 46 can do. That's Lucas Weisenberg, one of the championship hopefuls that we had coming into the weekend. He had a chassis change yesterday that forced him to start from the back of the grid, but Weisenberg fought his way back up in an incredible fashion. He'll roll off 12th here today, and I've got to think that that speed and tenacity he displayed yesterday is going to carry him on into race 2.
No question. That was a big drive from him. Unfortunately, it didn't get him up as far as he would like to, and I think he was caught out somewhat by the fact that the first few laps of the race were run behind the safety car, so that drained a lot of the time off the clock yesterday and didn't leave him with a whole lot of time to try and recover. by contrast, starts 12th today. Not an awesome qualifying effort, but hey, it's a heck of a lot better than yesterday. I think you can work from there, Lucas, and we'll see what he can do. One of just a handful of drivers to have won multiple times this year.
Yeah, only a few drivers have been able to check that off. Two of those drivers are Jackson Bell and Weston Workman, who will start alongside one another in the third row. That is 5th and 6th for the Copeland Motorsports and BSI Racing drivers, respectively. Workman, your championship leader coming into the weekend. I believe with the math that we had in store, he still held on to the championship lead with a good drive from him yesterday. Jackson Bell looking to try to gain in as much as possible. But for me, the storyline today are the rookies. The rookie sensation up at the front of the field, Fletcher and Goulart leading the way. Goulart, a true rookie in this year, and Fletcher, a ultra rookie, let's call him, as this is his first weekend in the series.
And he was awesome yesterday, if not for the contact we saw in the highlight package with Will Robusto, who starts not too far behind, let's remember, here in 4th today. Fletcher very well could have been in the picture to fight for the win in race 1 of the weekend. Still had a really good recovery, ended up inside the top 10, finishing in the 7th position, but had the fastest lap of the race. So super strong performance on debut.
As we said, Jeremy Fletcher, Ethan Goulart in that front row for Copeland Motorsports and Tech Sport. In row 2, it's yesterday's race winner, Spike Kohlbecker, followed by Will Robusto. Look for him to be strong. Jackson Bell and Weston Workman, your 2 title favorites in the closing rounds, will be in row 3. Ford Koch and Parker DeLong, another driver that impressed us yesterday, will start in 8th place. Christian Weir for Tech Sport rolls off 9th, followed by Ethan Tovo. A great qualifying performance for him. Then it's Jensen Sofronis and Lucas Weisenberg, who we mentioned earlier, will roll off in 12th. Jack Murchison will be 13th, followed by Max Schweid, your pole sitter from yesterday, not doing as well as he could have, but he'll look to move forward. Max Stallone for PT Autosports 15th, and Massimo Sanseri is 16th. Brett Kowalski for Tech Sport is 17th, followed by Livio Galante, the first of our Legends drivers in the field, and then it's Beltray Curtis and Theron Davis in row 10. Row 11 will be Carl Foreman, followed by Tom Rudney for Eagles Canyon Racing. Then it is the star of the screen, Rutledge Wood, rolling off in 23rd. He'll be flanked by John Lennon. Peyton Fang will hope for a better day when she had her off yesterday, but she'll be flanked by Andrew Gilliland in row 13. And row 14 will be Jeff Curry and Jackson Tovo at the back of the field. Draft around here, Ryan, is going to be very important. As we mentioned, it is about 6/10 to a full second a lap around this nearly 4-mile circuit, so that is a lot of speed you can pick up.
Oh, it's massive. We saw that on display quite often yesterday, where a driver quite a ways back could get it so, especially if they were drivers fighting for position up ahead. That could suck them along and maybe even bring them alongside. Makes for really captivating racing anywhere we go with Toyota GR Cup, but especially so here at Road America with 3 really long straightaways, 14 down to 1, 3 down to 5, and then the exit of the carousel down to Canada Corner. Not at all straight, of course. It's got the kink in there in the middle, but very close to a full throttle segment of the racetrack in these cars, and where the draft really comes into play big time.
Yes, and this is that fearsome kink that you talked about down into what is turn 11 on the track and into the Kettle Bottoms region. We saw a lot of good passing and a lot of, frankly, offs yesterday down into Canada Corner as drivers tried to maximize the speed around the outside, rolling momentum through the corners, as that's really the way to get the most out of these cars.
These drivers know the importance of keeping their momentum up, crucial, as you say, to extracting lap time, and then it comes down to the racecraft. So much of these races are spent side by side in close proximity with other drivers. Great learning platform as well. You learn about the momentum, you learn about racecraft, and we've seen drivers take the step from this series up to GT4 and be right on the pace. Look no further than Tyler Gonzalez and Gresham Wagner, who were just on track a moment ago.
A little bit of how you doing up at the front of the field there between Fletcher and Goulart, kind of leaning on each other through turn 14. They'll space themselves out just enough onto the main straightaway and start to climb the hill. Will be up in the flag stand, ready to go, looking for that green flag to fly. as we get ready for race number 2 of Toyota GR Cup North America at Road America, entering into the acceleration zone now, and the green flag flies. We go racing. It's a good getaway there for Fletcher on what will be the inside of turn 1. Looks like there's a couple of drivers poking out of line a little bit farther back, but it's pretty neat and orderly as they get going. Now we'll poke to the outside from Robusto. He's going to think better of it. Colbecker down to the inside. 2x2x2, they go through the corner. Big run around the outside there for Goulart.
Goulart trying to carry that run around the outside and bring the speed with him to try and challenge for the lead. He's able to stay door to door with Fletcher, the pole sitter, but not clear him. Fletcher, though, clear now of Goulart. He has the lead outright, and Goulart comes under pressure himself now. Robusto and Colbecker very aggressive here at the start of the race.
And I think Colbecker may be the odd man out, as he's going to fall down through the order without the help of that draft. A little bit of a hip check potentially from Jackson Bell as they work down through the Moraine sweep into the braking zone. Robusto trying to go the long way around the outside of Goulart. He's going to be able to carry good momentum there. Further back, Ford Koch trying to do the same thing, but Fletcher holds strong at the front of the field. Now Colbecker looking down to the inside of Bell.
Wow, that was aggressive. He made the move to the inside, but Bell, proactive in his defense, was able to fend off the challenge. They go back to single file, at least in that fight. Fletcher pulling away. Oh, spin further back in the pack.
That's the number 8 machine there, and that's going to be a big whip around. Looks like that car's going to be able to continue on. Robusto is going to get in a single file order as they run, trying to keep everything together. And that is going to be Tom Rudnai, farther back, one of the Legends drivers that we talked about. Hopefully Tom will be okay. Meanwhile, back up the front of the field, Jackson Bell hunting down his championship rival, Weston Workman. That's the battle for P4.
These two both were hard chargers a day ago. Started 6th in the case of Bell, 10th in the case of Workman, and both ended up at the pointy end of the field before it was all said and done yesterday. And they know each other well at this stage of the season. They've gone door to door, wheel to wheel, not just in the races, but also in the championship standings. Workman's got that points advantage coming into the weekend, but he knows it can go away much quicker than it's taken him to build it. It's been a season-long effort to try and build that margin.
Oh, and let's not forget they were teammates last year at Copeland Motorsports as well, sharing data, sharing information, so they clearly know each other well. But a breakaway up at the front of the field here for your top 2. Goulart, meanwhile, trying to face back on the 13.
The funny thing is, the top 2, Fletcher and Robusto, they're the 2 that came to blows in turn 1 in the race yesterday. Robusto was penalized for that contact. Neither got the result that they might have otherwise, but here they are one day later, cooperating at least for a little while as Robusto looks to the outside in a repeat of what he did yesterday.
This is the same incident, maybe on a different day, but this time it is going to be a different result as Robusto is able to get around Fletcher and make that move pay off. Goulart is going to be able to close in a little bit more. Big slide in the back of the field. Oh, cars around. That's the number 5 Eagles Candy Machine. They're going to be able to keep rolling. Here they go. Thank goodness for that. That number 5 machine, very, very sketchy moment as they tried to run. Oh, Peyton Fain again in the number 80 off to the outside of turn 1. I think this is almost a mere exact moment of what happened yesterday.
Wow, that is strange. Yesterday, she was able to get out of the gravel trap. Looks like she might be able to do so again. By the way, the other car involved Beltray Curtis in the number 5.
Yeah, that was Beltray there, one of the younger drivers in the field. Right now, Fletcher, though, trying to close in on the back. Side-by-side action farther back in the field. That's going to be Jensen Sofronis down to the inside, trying to hold off an attack here from Lucas Weisenberg. No, excuse me, that's the number 46 machine. That is Lucas Weisenberg. I was right the first time. As they come down into turn 7, side-by-side, still it looks like they're going to finally get themselves sorted out as they dive down into 8.
Interesting, Weisenberg really hasn't made much progress. In fact, he's dropped a position since the start of the race. Now runs 13th after starting 14th. Yesterday had to start at the back with that chassis change and never really could threaten inside the top 10. Didn't have a ton of time with which to do it, but once he cracked the top 15, his progress was stymied at that point, and maybe shades of the same situation here in race number 2 today.
Yeah, this is a track that's never necessarily suited him as well. Obviously, victories back time, last time out of VIR, and that was where he claimed his first victory. You've got the stats here, 12th 12th and 6th a year ago. Not the best, and obviously a 12th place finish last time out.
Yeah, exactly right. So we'll look to exercise some of those demons. Still early going, of course, and you need to look after these tires. They've got to go the entire distance, and that'll be in the back of his mind as well. Spike Kohlbecker now is embroiled in a duel. I think that is DeLong, who was so strong yesterday, led a lot of the race, and really with a few laps to go, looked like he might have it in control, but how quickly things can change in Toyota GR Cup North America.
Yeah, they can change with the drop of a hat as Parker DeLong takes a little half peek. 2 drivers left, and now we've got that's going to be Fletcher and Robusto once again going at it up in front. I think Fletcher's going to get the move done 3 wide as Ethan Goulart wants to try to take a little bit of a move to the inside of Robusto, and it's Goulart getting the 2 for 1.
Oh, can he get it woed down though, or does he open the door up back to the inside? I think that's the case. That's always tight when they rejoin at the end of that curbing. Goulart does have a nose ahead, but Robusto has the position to the inside. Both of them wiggling on the brakes, neither willing to give an inch.
Fort Koch with a big off in the background on the exit of turn 3. He's going to get it woed down but lose a lot of time. The battle for P1 continues to be hot. Goulart in the white and purple machine, Robusto with that orange nose, but Robusto left out of the draft party. He's going to lose some positions here, and that's going to be Fletcher and Workman that are able to get on through. Now Fletcher takes a look to the outside of Goulart down into turn 5.
What did we just say? How quickly things can change in this championship. It doesn't take much. One little miscue can open the door for a whole host of competitors to jump through and pounce. It's Goulart in the lead, Fletcher settling in second, then Workman, Robusto, and Bell the top 5.
As Goulart continues to lead, looking down out of turn 7, a little bit of a breakaway from P7 on back. That's what we tend to see in this series. Almost looking like there that Weston Workman gave a little bit of a push to Fletcher. Don't think it was anything too significant. Fletcher now coming down through the carousel, and watch this area, Ryan. This is where things get very fascinating. We saw yesterday drivers taking a multitude of lines, just trying to exact the speed through this corner.
Interesting to note, an incident under review. Cars 8 and 31. Rudnai is the 8. We saw him spinning at one stage a couple of laps ago. 31 is Jackson Tovo, shown in 17th. Let race control sort that out. Battle is on. This is for second. Weston Workman fighting his way around the outside of Fletcher. He'll grab the spot away. Will Robusto trying to follow him through.
Inches away from contact, and contact indeed as Robusto and his old sparring partner Fletcher get into it on the exit of Canada Corner. Now it's going to be Robusto and Jackson Bell side by side up through Bill Mitchell Bend. They'll bang a little bit more as they come into turn 14. Robusto trying to roll that momentum around the outside, and they are bringing Parker DeLong alongside with them.
Spike Kohlbecker in the picture too. That's the yellow machine. Ooh, and more contact there. 22 shoved off to the side. That's Fletcher, and he might have some problems. He's out of the throttle coming up the hill.
And there looks like there's some smoke coming out of that car. I'm not sure what that is. We'll have to see if we can figure it out. But a heartbreak here for Jeremy Fletcher, who was running so well up to this point. Oh.
Yeah, heartbreaking. It had been such a promising debut for him. Young man with a lot of single-make experience and had run at the front of a couple of different similar-style championships. Announced his presence, didn't he, with authority here this weekend. Hope to see more of him down the road.
Yeah, and he'll be teamed up. He was teamed up with that Copeland Motorsport camp, which is obviously your 2-time reigning champions here in Toyota GR Cup North America. Meanwhile, breakaway at the front of the field for Goulart and Workman. Bell holds on to third. Then it's Robusto, Kohlbecker, DeLong, Schweid, Weir, Koch, and Tovo, your top 10.
Interesting, too, with that issue, I think, that kind of backed up the pack a little bit and has created a gap, nearly 2 seconds separating the top 2 from the rest of the field. Goulart and Workman with a breakaway. Then it's Jackson Bell side by side up the hill. Robusto shoved out wide. That's Kohlbecker scything to the inside, grabbing another position.
Muscling his way on through, and that's going to open up the door for Parker DeLong to get alongside Robusto through turn 7. DeLong pushes his way up ahead. That's Christian Weir in the orange and purple machine. Move in the background there. That's Lucas Weisenberg. He's back up in this party right behind Max Schweid, but Fort Koch wants it as well in the black and purple.
Yeah, this is what we expected from Weisenberg with a better starting position today, now cracking the top 10 for the first time all weekend, remarkably. Only finished 14th yesterday, started 12th today. He's up to 9th now, and he's drawing a bead on his next target. That is Schweid, that is DeLong, excuse me, that is right ahead. He had just made the move, as you said, on Schweid.
Here they come through the kink. We're running a little bit wide there, but able to keep it under control. That extra little bit of concrete and grasp on the outside of the kink for safety for a lot of these drivers. And, well, drivers are drivers. They're going to abuse it. Big move for Weir down to the inside. He is not going to make that corner, and big contact to the outside of Canada corner.
Oh, my. That was big. Immediate full course yellow. I think there was something technically wrong with the car there because it went in at unabated speed. You could see through the car sideways, just trying to scrub off a little bit of that speed, if at all possible. That was heavy, heavy impact into the tire bundle.
Yes, it was, and there Tom Hansing waving that full course yellow, and credit here to race officials, an immediate full course yellow nearly as soon as that car came to a stop.
Wipes away the lead that Ethan Goulart and Weston Workman had built at the front of the field, brings Jackson Bell and Spike Kohlbecker and Will Robusto back up into that conversation. Had a car off on the side. That must have been Fletcher there. Yeah, at a safe spot, relatively speaking. Maybe that can be attended to. This is the best news of all, though.
Yes, it is. That is Christian Weir getting out of the car after what was a very, very frightening moment. And Ryan, I think I have to agree with you. There's something not right about the way that car entered that gravel trap.
Yeah, that was a strange situation, to say the least. Tough break for Christian from nearby Naperville, Illinois. Ran the races up here a year ago with finishes of 4th and 3rd, including a pole position in race 2. Mustered a 12th place yesterday, but will not finish race 2. The best news of all, though, he is all right, seemingly, after the heavy impact down in Canada corner.
Yeah, so he will be able to get out of the car, and that will allow for the safety teams to be able to retrieve that car from the barriers here at this point. We will let you know if there's any barrier repair that needs to be done, as that was a very, very heavy impact. And one of the technical innovations that really has become a thing this year is with those tire barriers. In years past, you would have seen them loosely wrapped or just left on their own, and now they have sort of put a liner around the outside that allows for that car to better receive, or that allows the barriers to better receive the impact. There's Jeremy Fletcher. We mentioned him a little bit earlier. Stopped just past the start-finish line with apparent problems in that Copeland Motorsports number 22.
Yeah, a little shame there. Had such a good weekend going, as we've talked about. Hope we get to see more of him as the season progresses. Talent was in evidence, wasn't it, here this weekend? He was quick from the word go. I think he and DeLong both opened some eyes given the conditions that they started in. They had not run in the rain all weekend. That's how the race started yesterday, and they had to really learn on the fly, and both acquitted themselves quite well.
That was Christian Weir getting out of the car and walking over. You saw a big thumbs up to the crowd gathered near Canada corner, and applause, obviously, from those fans as well. Looks like there's a little bit of damage farther back in the field there. That's Livio Galante, the front of that number 89 Eagles Canyon Racing Machine, looking more than a little bit dented.
Interesting note from race control. There's an incident under review, and guess who? It's the 2 and the 22, just as it was yesterday. So Will Robusto, who is in 5th, 22, Jeremy Fletcher on the side of the road. And maybe we have a glimpse into what caused Jeremy to pull off to the side of the road just past start finish.
Well, we did see those two battling a little bit up through Bill Mitchell Bend, turn 13 and through turn 14. So maybe a little bit of tire rub or something like that could have affected the car. Don't want to speculate too much, honestly, but we'll figure out exactly what that is. If we get any information, we will let you know.
And we'll see what race control elects to do, how they rule on that one. Right now, for the first time, remarkably, all weekend, we've got a full course yellow interrupting green flag racing. Admittedly, we started under full course yellow yesterday, but we're able to run to the checkered flag under green once the green came out.
Yes, we were. As just to give you a little bit of a recap here, it is Goulart leading from Workman, then Bell, Kohlbecker, and Robusto. Taking a look back at the cleanup there for Christian Weir in the number 71. Looks like that is going to be able to get their way to go. As Robusto, DeLong, Weisenberg, Schweid, Koch, and Tovo, your top 10. Really good run here from Ethan Tovo. I want to give him credit there in that 10th place position. He and his twin brother, of course, Jackson, racing for Nitro Motorsports. They are an emerging talent, it has to be said. And I say emerging not because of their talent level, but because of their age. I believe they are 15, if memory serves. They turned 15 or 16 last week, or last round at VIR.
Yeah, amazing how many young guns there are, and emphasis on the young in that phrase when you factor in the Tovos and Jensen Safronis, and I'm sure there's others that you are familiar with covering the series full time. But it's a great entry level to sports car racing and to Tin Tops. As we've talked about, you learn a lot of good habits, carrying momentum in these types of cars. You learn racecraft as well, because you're always in a battle no matter where you are in the field. And Ethan is getting stronger as the year goes on, as a best finish of 10th, runs in 10th right now, so potentially matching or exceeding his best finish of the year if he can keep things rolling.
Yeah, and at this point, your main strategy, if you are from about 10th on back, is you don't want to fight. As a matter of fact, you want to try to just latch on to the back of this leading train. We saw that kind of break away early on in the session, and you do not want to lose that by any stretch of the imagination.
That's so important, to stay with the pack, stay in the conversation. Yesterday, we saw DeLong with that big lead, and all of a sudden everyone behind realized, uh-oh, time's running out. We better cooperate for a lap or two to catch him back up and not let him run away with this thing, and that's what they did. If you were watching, by the way, Weston Workman's name dropped down the leaderboard. It's now gone back to second place, so must be a transponder-related issue, so that's good. Had me a little bit worried for a moment, but Weston, the points leader, still safely in second place, just ahead of Jackson Bell.
And that's going to be a battle to really keep your eye on. Jackson Bell, Weston Workman, as we said, first and second coming into yesterday's race. And when you're in those kind of positions, you're thinking about the championship, you really have to think big brain about it. You cannot be too aggressive to put your car at risk and risk a did not finish as a result of it. You have got to make sure that you know exactly how well you can get yourself to the end. As there we see Christian Mears' car and looks like the number 22 of Jeremy Fletcher also being taken away. So race control and safety workers using this time to get that number 22 to safety as well.
Yeah, they'll need to be thinking big picture. You're right. The top three still very much in that conversation. It's 39 points coming into the weekend, separating Workman from Weisenberg, who was second coming in. Jackson Bell, third coming in, only 7 further points back, 46 points out of the championship lead. So they'll know what's at stake in that battle, and they'll also want to know how much progress is Lucas Weisenberg making, and he has picked up couple of more positions. He's moved up to the 7th spot now, and he's got a couple of names he's got to work through that maybe he's not used to racing with. Parker DeLong comes to mind, who's new to the championship here this weekend, and he's not thinking points at all. Totally different perspective for some of these that are running inside the top 10 that either are out of position in the championship to really have to think about points or are brand new this year, here this weekend. So they're not thinking about points at all. They just want podiums and wins and trophies and some bragging rights and maybe a chance to earn a spot on the grid moving forward.
And we've seen that, as you mentioned a little bit earlier, a definite ladder being established here by Toyota. 4 drivers in GR Cup North America as Tyler Gonzalez and Gresham Wagner both moving on up in Pirelli GT4. Is right now we take a look at that safety car and the lights are out. We are ready to go back to racing. So credit here to the safety crews around Road America, and control of this field goes back to Ethan Goulart.
Plenty of time still to go in this race. 26.5 minutes. That's an eternity in a series like this one. It's the youngster, another one of those really young guys, Ethan Goulart, who has the field under his control. Second generation racer. I'm sure his father Elevon is watching on and maybe biting those fingernails. His young man doing a really good job out in front of this pack.
Good restart there for Goulart, as that restart line is a little bit farther back on the track. He is immediately going to start weaving back and forth, doing that dragon move that we have seen so many times here in GR Cup North America. Now holds down to the inside. Weston Workman going to have to go the long way around if he wants chance to make it, and he looks like he is going for just that. Workman to the outside of Goulart, but Goulart later on the binders, he's going to be able to make it stick. A little bit of contact maybe between the two of them. I can't tell if they've got it sorted out or not as they climb down the hill. Workman to the point.
How about that? That was big and bold coming to the green flag there. Weston Workman has taken the lead of the race. All right, Jackson Bell, now the emphasis is on you. You're seeing the championship leaders start to pull away in the lead of the race. Jackson, I thought, maybe was sizing them up to try and make a move and take advantage of them going side by side, but the opportunity never presented itself as Goulart now looking to counterattack towards the end of the straight.
He thought about it. I'll tell you who will counterattack. That's Will Robusto to the outside, getting one, gaining 2 positions there, getting by both Kohlbecker and Jackson Bell. Brilliant move for the RVA Graphics Motorsport by Speed Syndicate driver. He's still side by side with Bell, though. It's not over yet.
No, it's not. He dropped a couple of right side wheels in the grass, did Will Robusto, but he was able to hang on to it up the hill under the Corvette bridge. Gathers it back in, now up to the 3rd spot, but don't forget the sword of Damocles still dangles over that number 2 car. There's the potential of a penalty. That car's and the 22 still under review for an incident earlier in the race.
Parker DeLong going a little bit wide there. Weisenberg now a cork in the bottle, it looks like, between DeLong and Ford Koch. Koch to the outside, catches the grass on the outside of the carousel, but he is going to keep his foot in it and keep it going. Get that man to Knoxville. That was a great slide.
Yeah, that would have fit in nicely the Knoxville Nationals last week. You're exactly right. Really good save there. Unfortunately, he still loses a ton of track position and maybe not always well with that car because it looked like he was slow getting back up to speed. Nevertheless, he's back on track now and will try to recover as we see the front runners go side by side yet again.
Yeah, that's Robusto able to get around Ethan Goulart. Now Jackson Bell trying to size up Goulart to be able to get his way onto the podium position. And don't count out yesterday's winner, Spike Kohlbecker, lurking in 5th place. Bell running over the grass on the entry into turn number 14, and that cost him a little bit of time. Kohlbecker now the one on the attack.
Back to the Ford Koch story real quick. Deserves a shout out. Great run yesterday to finish 4th. That was equal to his best result of the season so far. Came into the weekend 10th in points and made some headway in that yesterday with that great result, but now has been shuffled all the way back to 24th.
Yeah, he's going to have a lot of work to try to do. Lost a lot of time. Weisenberg now popping out of line, trying to get around the number 47 machine of Parker DeLong. Looks like he's going to be able to hold on to that. Excuse me, that was DeLong trying to make the attack. That was Weisenberg on the defense. Now from behind, that's going to be Schweid trying to make a move. He was another good runner from yesterday that looks strong.
Yeah, he had the pole position. Didn't stay up front, at the very front at least, terribly long, but ran inside the top 10 seemingly all day, and although the qualifying result today wasn't quite as good, the pace has been there, and he continues to move forward here in race number 2. Schweid right now, where is he shown? 8th place as we see a move at the front.
Robusto to the point once again, move down to the inside of turn 5 on Weston Workman. He gets it all wound up and brings that car back together. Gotta say, Robusto has looked very, very strong this weekend. Even with that penalty yesterday, he is definitely a driver that was one to watch coming into the round today.
No doubt. His driving style, you might describe it as robust, if you pardon the pun. He's not afraid to get those elbows out. Right now, it served him well. He leads the race, but the incident is still under review. We've got a different incident that now will be reviewed post-session that involves cars 8 and 31. Also, the incident with Robusto will be reviewed post-session. So whatever result we see on track, we will stress it is provisional because there's still a lot to be sorted through by race control.
Good battle for 3rd here between that tech sport driver of Ethan Goulart and Jackson Bell. Also throws Spike Kohlbecker into that mix too. Kohlbecker carrying a lot of speed around the outside of the kink. The car almost getting completely sideways as they run in that 3rd, 4th, and 5th spot. Let's see if anybody pokes out of line. Goulart preemptively gets out of line on Jackson Bell, trying to run the defensive line. Bell trying to carry a little bit more momentum. Looks for the crossover. I think he was scuppered a little bit there by Kohlbecker being so close.
Yeah, Kohlbecker still strong. Winner yesterday, of course, and a winner here at Road America last year, too, in race 1 of the 2 races that were held 1 year ago. That's the number 55 bright yellow Vanguard machine that runs right there in the middle of that battle pack, looking stout once again after getting his first win of the season just a day ago.
Yeah, and he's going to be looking to try to gain on that. I think he's mathematically out of the championship pretty much at this point, but just continue to stack those wins, especially for his new team, RVA Graphics Motorsport by Speed Syndicate. Big, big result for them. As here he comes to the outside of Jackson Bell into turn one. It looks like Weisenberg's going to try to follow him on through, but Bell gets his elbows out. Weisenberg goes to the outside, has to give up the ghost. He's not done yet. Bell looking at the inside of Kohlbecker. Now Weisenberg onto the back.
And DeLong stacked up behind them too, as is Jackson Tova, who is up 18 spots since the start of this race. He's got twin Ethan right there in tow as well. So the Tovo brothers doing what they do, pushing inside the top 10 now. Bell at 5th, trying to hang on to that position. Weisenberg's been shuffled around in all of this battling that they're doing. This is what you get in Toyota GR Cup. The battles are hot and heavy, really, once as soon as the race goes green.
Oh, great crossover there from Max Schweid on Lucas Weisenberg. Just saw it to the outside, dove it down to the inside, and Schweid now looks to the inside of that number 46 Wex Group machine, clobbers the curb on the apex of 6. That's going to scupper his momentum, I think. Meanwhile, up at the front, there you see Robusto leading, and as we take a look around on who is fast and who is not, it is all that number 98 machine.
Now that is Schweid, pole sitter yesterday, so we know there's pace in that car. Right now shown in 8th, but making his way forward with still 19 minutes, 20 seconds to work with. Robusto and Workman, they lead this race, 0.4 of a second further back to Goulart. Then it's Kohlbecker running as high up in the field as he has all race long, shown in 4th, ahead of Jackson Bell. DeLong, Weisenberg, Schweid, and the Tovo brothers, 9th and 10th.
Right, there are those Tovo brothers that you see as they work their way through Catalano's right now into Canada Corner, waiting to see if there's going to be anybody poking out a line. And this may be one of those situations in the race here, Ryan, where we see drivers do something a little unusual in racing, calm it down a little bit. And that is to save the tires, save these Continental tires a little bit, and make sure they are able to get to the end of the race.
Well, again, we've seen it from time to time where you do need to settle it down, get single file, and hope that that group you're trying to catch starts to fight amongst themselves. That allows then the group behind to reel them in quite quickly. Battle was on here. Tech Sport car pulling out a line, working to the outside. Schweid and Weisenberg there doing battle up the front straightaway. Schweid had the edge, but the side draft is a powerful tool.
Yes, it is. Also farther up, that's DeLong and Bell. Bell's going to be down to the inside of Parker DeLong. That's a defensive move, but a very nice looking crossover from the number 47 Tech Sport Racing of Parker DeLong. The red and white machine to the inside of Jackson Bell. Let's see if he can pull it off. Yes, he can. Move Parker DeLong back up into 4th, but a slide on the exit of 3 could change that scenario very quickly.
Bell and Weisenberg both need to get on their giddy up here because Weston Workman's the man they're chasing in the championship, and he's now lurking in second, threatening Will Robusto for the lead of the race. Here's that fight now down the hill to turn 5. Workman thought about it, but bailed out of the move well early into the braking zone. Settles back in, chasing Robusto now.
Chasing Robusto. Meanwhile, Spike Kohlbecker trying to look, and there you can see that visual gap we talked about. DeLong and Bell fighting with each other, allowing for these 4 to break away and let this be a battle. And for Spike Kohlbecker, that's going to let you be a little bit more aggressive and attack on the back of Ethan Goulart.
Now, Kohlbecker's got nothing to lose. As you said, he's effectively out of the points battle coming into this, a position he's not found himself in at this stage in the season very often. 3rd in the championship 2 years ago, 2nd last year, but got that big win yesterday, and you can almost tell just with the way he's driving the car, the way the body language of the car displays his confidence. It's back up where it needs to be, where it was at the tail end of the year last year.
You know, I got to interview him yesterday on Victory Circle after he had taken that win, and you could almost visually see the stress lift from his shoulders. It was such a welcomed and relieved win for Kohlbecker, and I think it's playing out of the way he's driving today. There's a looseness, there's a freeness in the way he's attacking.
A couple of years with the Tech Sport team over the last 2 seasons did make the change, as you alluded to the RVA Graphics Motorsports by Speed Syndicate operation, and the start of the year did not go according to plan. Finished 3rd in the season opener, but had not been on the podium since until yesterday. but things starting to turn around late in the season for the native of St. Louis, Missouri.
And sometimes that's just what happens. It takes a little bit for a driver and a team to click. It doesn't matter what form of motorsport you're in. It does take a minute or two for that to come together, and I think that we are going to continue to see this pairing bear fruit in the future because Spike is just such a good driver. I would be amazed if it didn't. Meanwhile, front of the field there, little bit of movement from Robusto, Workman, and Goulart.
Yeah, Robusto having to hang on here. He had a bit of a gap, but it goes away quickly. You talked about how important that slipstream is at Road America earlier in the show. 6/10 to maybe even a full second of lap time if you have the traffic in the right place at the right time. And at the moment, it's Weston Workman using that to his advantage. Sits in the second spot, but just seems to be patient, seems to be content. Every once in a while, he'll poke the nose out. If the opportunity is there, he'll take it. But no undue risk at this stage in the race for the championship leader.
This is a really heads-up drive here for Workman, and I think it goes to the point we were making earlier. Try to get that gap. Try to build as much as possible a bit of space between you and the pack behind, because you want to minimize the number of drivers that have a chance to win this race come the white flag flying.
How consistent has Weston Workman been this year? Through 9 races, he's finished off the podium just once. That's how good he's been, and then he started to win races as well. He was no stranger to the podium over the past few seasons, but that first win was eluding him. He swept the weekend at Sebring, added another win at VIR, and right now is in position to challenge for his 4th win in his GR Cup career.
And I credit his haircut. He shaved his head a little bit, and that certainly helped him out. I joked with him about that a little while ago. Goulart right now trying to maybe take that position away from him.
Oh, you mentioned the haircut. That was right before the VIR weekend. I saw Weston and his family out to dinner at the VIR weekend, and his mom said he had more hair when he was a baby, when he was born. She wasn't used to seeing him with such a close cropped head of hair.
But he looks good and drives even better, I have to say. As we're starting to get a little bit of that pull in here between Parker DeLong and Spike Kohlbecker. Everybody just holding in line at the moment. Kohlbecker, though, waiting for that opportunity wherever it can strike, I think. Under 14 minutes to go. Parker DeLong starting to close a little bit more. That gap as they cross the line. Last sector time it was about 1 second. As they cross over the stripe right now, it's going to grow a little bit actually. It's about 1.2 seconds. So this non-battling from the front of the field really doing what it should.
Yeah, that's exactly what these 4 have to be thinking. If they can just stay single file for a few more laps, they can settle this amongst themselves. Why invite anybody else to the party when the big prize is there waiting for them at the end of the next 13 minutes? But at a certain point, patience runs out, and it tends to start to run out the further back you get in the train. So I've got my eyes on Kohlbecker in that yellow car, because he probably will feel the urgency to go sooner than the cars that run in front of him in the line.
Well, and as you Nostradamus Marine over here able to pick that out as Kohlbecker goes down to the inside of Goulart. I think he may have touched a little bit there, but backed it off enough so there wasn't enough to notice it. My point that I was going to make about Kohlbecker is also what we've been saying. He's got nothing to lose ultimately, so he may be a little bit more aggressive, not thinking about the points and just go, go, go.
Absolutely. I think you could throw Goulart into that conversation too, where at least for a title, it's probably not going to happen here this year, but the same cannot be said for Workman, and his competitors have to know that. They know he's going to be unwilling to take risk because he has so much to lose with the big picture in mind. And how they choose to employ that knowledge, how they choose to race with Weston Workman, that's going to be fascinating over the final 11 minutes and change.
Yeah, it will. Gap, by the way, down to 9/10 of a second between DeLong and Kohlbecker at the last sector time. So, that's going to come up a little bit more, though, with a big wiggle from Parker DeLong in the exit of the cake.
Parker hanging on nicely, though. Had that strong run yesterday. Very easily, things played out slightly differently, could have won his first ever race in the championship. That would have been remarkable. Still was able to finish 5th. That's where he finds himself right now, at the tail end of this train, and he's bringing some friends alongside with him. as Jackson Bell is right there in tow.
I got to give some credit here. They're nice little battle, Schweid and the number 46 of Lucas Weisenberg. And as you saw there, fastest Sector 2 for Max Schweid. Although I don't think this is going to be necessarily the fastest Sector 3 as he battles with the Lucas Racing driver of a straight drag race up the hill right now. Trying to steal a little bit of that side draft off one another. Weisenberg will have the more momentum around the outside, but Schweid's going to have the quicker way from point A to point B.
Schweid to the inside into turn 1 in the primarily white machine. It's Weisenberg working the outside in the blue and white car. Blue nose, blue tail. They are still side by side at corner exit. Now they do get themselves sorted out in the run down into turn number 3. It's Weisenberg out in front in this duel, but this is only for 6th and 7th, not where Weisenberg wants to be with the championship in mind.
No, not at all. He wants to be far ahead than this. Weston Workman maybe with a little bit of a look, pokes back into line behind Robusto to maybe steal a little bit more of that draft. He's going to stay in line, as is Goulart. They, interestingly, out of turn 3, gained a little bit of a time there on Kohlbecker. Looks like he gained it back up in the braking zone, but they were almost starting to drop that number 55.
At the moment, it's still a 4-car train in the front of the field. Robusto, Workman, Goulart, and Kohlbecker trying to cooperate, trying to compete, trying to find the right balance between the two. Then it's DeLong and Bell, and a little duel of their own. They run just a little bit further behind, but strong runs here at the front of this field. What a breakthrough this could be for any number of these drivers that haven't quite had the seasons they're looking for, or it could be icing on the cake for Weston Workman.
Exactly, and especially with Jackson Bell down in 6th place as of right now, this could be a massive swing in terms of the championship, even if they just stay the way they are right now. If Workman's able to get the pass done on Robusto and get the win, that'll be an even bigger swing.
Right, and they'll have that in mind. That's the emphasis for Bell and for Weisenberg to try and claw in and catch this leading group and mitigate the damage. But right now, Weston Workman doing what he needs to do. He's ahead of his championship rivals. He's sizing up Will Robusto, and he'll probably know, too, that there is a post-race review that involves the car that he's leading. So even a second-place finish on the road could potentially still get swapped around into a win depending on the outcome of that ruling. We really don't know what the incident in question was, so it's hard to say what the likelihood of that might be, but we do know that that ruling still looms in the distance.
Yeah, he'll have to keep his eye on that. And of course, that BSI racing team will have made Weston informed of that pending decision, let's call it. Pulls up to the back there of Robusto. Going to poke his nose to the outside. He's done this a couple of times. Just get out of the draft there a little bit, show his nose, maybe see if he can force Robusto into a mistake. But it hasn't really happened quite yet. But I like the impetus, I like the thought process there from Workman.
Seems a little half-hearted. Doesn't look like he's fully committed to making a move. I think you might be right that it could just be a case of probing, trying to find some weakness, or maybe force a mistake that could make the pass one that you could make without taking too much risk on your shoulders. This is where he's done it a few times before as well. The run down to turn 5, a little bump draft there between the top two that gives Workman a bit of a buffer back to Goulart, but still not close enough to make an attempt, or at least not willing to at this point in time.
And in regards to that bump draft, there goes Goulart, almost forcing Kohlbecker off to the inside grass, but Kohlbecker is going to try to poke his nose in, not able to do it. To my point, though, about the bump draft, you are able to do that. You are fully within the legal bounds of Toyota GR Cup North America to give a little bit of a bump to the car in front of you. Where they draw the line is locking bumpers. That is, or locking fenders, rather. That is where the line is drawn.
Yeah, can't stay in contact for an extended period of time, but a little nudge, a little shove to help push the car in front of you. That is A-OK, and Workman has used that to his benefit. And meanwhile, the battle behind between Goulart and Kohlbecker has allowed the top two to escape with 6.5 minutes to go.
And that may not seem like a lot, but it's 48 hundredths of a second, and especially if we see an extended fight here with Goulart and Kohlbecker, this could be a big run, and it let's put Parker DeLong into that mix as well. Here comes the fight. Goulart and Kohlbecker side by side down into Canada corner. Kohlbecker trying to roll some more speed, and now here comes Parker DeLong.
Yeah, he had a front row seat, and now he's jumped up onto the stage. He wants a part of this. To the outside of Kohlbecker, has to settle back in line. Here comes Jackson Bell now, who had been left by this group, but suddenly finds himself right back in the conversation as well.
Well, that's that effect of a battle like we talked about, but now I'd say we've got a couple of groups here, a couplet up front and then a quad group in the second and a trio behind them, so it's very, very interesting in the way that it plays. But now here comes Kohlbecker. They've been able to drop a little bit of time from DeLong. Here they go. Quartet, by the way, was the word I was looking for. There goes Kohlbecker. A little bit of a defensive line from Goulart, trying to hold that out. Goulart runs wide, but Kohlbecker not able to take it.
No, the door was open, but he wasn't close enough to try and barge through. They continued to scrap amongst themselves, squabbling over positions 3, 4, 5, and 6. This is a little bit further back, where Weisenberg continues to fight with Schweid. And is that Jackson Tovo there that's in the conversation too?
Yes, it is. A great run for Tovo. Now here comes Weston Workman. He's got that breathing room behind. But again, just kind of stealthily comes back into line. I think you're right, Ryan. Trying to find some weakness. A little half-hearted in the approach, but he's doing what he needs to do. Now Goulart holds off an attack from Kohlbecker, Parker DeLong, and Jackson Bell. That's 3, 4, 5, 6.
Stout stuff at the front of the field from Will Robusto. He's looking for his second win of the season. If he can hang on and if he can survive the post-race inspection or the post-race review of an incident earlier in the race. Weston Workman in second. I'm sure he'd love to get that fourth win, but this is a perfect result as far as he's concerned for the championship. He's in second, and he's ahead of everyone chasing him with a real shot at the title.
And I will say a quote from Weston Workman that was just passed to me by our friend Jonathan Grace. He did say that Weston said, you know what, wins are great, but he's thinking championship at this point. So if I'm Weston, I just keep doing what I'm doing here, poking my nose this way and that way, trying to see if that there is a little bit of an opportunity. And if not, I settle for second, knowing that my closest rivals are back in 6th and 7th.
Makes it easier for him to stay patient, stay in that cooperation mode with Will Robusto, who's still out in front leading this race. It'll be 2 laps to go when the field comes around this time by. Robusto and Workman first and second. Goulart, Kohlbecker fighting as well, along with DeLong and Jackson Bell, and then plenty of other scraps as we drop a little bit further back in the pack 2.
This is Max Schweid in 9th place as that battle between Weisenberg, Tovo, and Schweid has really separated out. Check back in on the battle for P3. Kohlbecker in the draft of Ethan Goulart as they cross the line with 3 minutes left to go. 2 to go, more than likely at the line. And here comes a move for Weston Workman up at the front of the field. Again, a little half-hearted, just trying to see if there's an advantage to be gained.
I don't think he'll make a real move, barring a mistake from Robusto until the final lap. Right now, it's about building that gap, making sure you've got a buffer in case something were to go wrong. Keeping that championship front of mind. Kohlbecker banging doors with Parker DeLong. These two raced at the front yesterday. That was DeLong getting the better of Kohlbecker, yesterday's winner that time. That opens up the door for Jackson Bell, who's got a head of steam built up.
Yes, he does, and Kohlbecker knows it immediately goes defensive. As there you see a defensive line again from Robusto down into turn 5. Workman not being aggressive with it. I think your assessment is right, Ryan. He's going to wait until the last minute to try to pull that move if he goes for it. Farther back that battle we were watching, it looks like Jackson Bell has stayed behind Kohlbecker. Let's keep our eyes fixed on this battle for the lead. Couple of car lengths in between Robusto and Workman, but as we've seen in Toyota GR Cup North America, that can fade in an instant.
Workman has had a front row seat to the championship seasons of Tyler Gonzalez, of Gresham Wagner. He's been there mixing it up with him. Whoa, big lockup there for the points leader. He goes wide. That opens the door here for Goulart to come alongside. championship implications, but a big save there for the points leader.
It was a very impressive save from a very sketchy moment for Weston Workman. Goulart, the only one that was able to sneak on through, and while it may not be as good of a day now for Weston Workman, he will still finish ahead of his title rivals. The problem is he's got somebody directly behind him in the form of Parker DeLong that doesn't care about those points. He just wants the wins.
Yeah, he won't be thinking about that at all. Workman, though, needs to put that mistake behind him and try and get his head down, get back in his rhythm. Has to go on the defensive here. Here comes DeLong. Could there be a problem with the race car? Workman doesn't seem to have the pace there. That was really easy for DeLong to sneak past.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on here. We'll have to see if Spike Kohlbecker is able to get by him now, and he's got to be sweating bullets, does Weston Workman, as Jackson Bell's right behind him. Kohlbecker doesn't get the run into turn 14. Meanwhile, this is great if you are Will Robusto. He is clean and green and out into the lead.
Massive advantage over 2 seconds over second place Ethan Goulart. DeLong is through to third. Workman weaving back and forth, trying to break the toe as the white flag waves in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Will Robusto just 4 miles away from his second win of the season. Weston Workman trying to limit the damage as he's hit misfortune late in the going.
Kohlbecker now tries to pile on that disadvantage as again a slip and slide there from Workman. Something sketchy with that car.
Oh, his hands were busy. You could see the white gloves flashing left and right through the windscreen. He drops another position. The next position, though, is the one that really matters. This is Jackson Bell. He's thinking points, he's thinking championship, and he knows he's got to get around Weston Workman to try and close up in the points.
Behind him, a side-by-side between Lucas Weisenberg and Jackson Tovo with Max Schweid looking on. Here they fly down the back straightaway. It's going to be 3 wide here for a moment. Settles itself out. That's Schweid trying to make a move on Tovo. Up at the front, or the front end of the field, there we see it. 3 wide now down into the braking zone as Bell goes around the outside of Workman.
I think it's a braking issue. I really do, because that's what caused him to go long, and then he's been super conservative on the brakes ever since. Workman just got swallowed up, drops 3-4 positions in one corner alone, plummeting down the order from firm control of second place with a shot to win to just on the fringe of the top 10.
And crucially, all of his championship rivals now ahead of him, including Lucas Weisenberg and Jackson Bell. And watch for this battle right here for P5 to get very, very scrappy. Meanwhile, the battle for P2 works its way through the carousel. Let's keep our eyes here, and don't count out Max Schweid. He wants to move his way into this as well.
So Workman has dropped down to 9th. He's got a 4-second advantage, it would appear, over Ethan Tovo, who runs in 10th. So Workman should be solidly in 9th position, but no longer with a chance to try and fight at the pointy end of this race.
No, he's not going to have that opportunity as they fly through Kettle Bottoms for the final time. Here comes a move from Parker DeLong, maybe on Ethan Goulart. That's not going to play itself out. Is there's Spike Kohlbecker holding on to 4th place. He'd love another podium this weekend. Bell runs a little bit wide on the exit of Canada Corner, and that opens up the door for Max Schweid.
Schweid up a spot. Bell still at the front of this freight train. Then it's Schweid. Then it's Weisenberg. Contact there with the 31. That is right in front of the points leader, Workman. The 46 of Weisenberg goes for a ride, but Workman's able to get through clean.
Oh, what a scruffy last couple of corners, but that was all in the rearview mirror of Will Robusto, who will come to the line and take victory in race 2. Goulart follows him home, and debutant Parker DeLong takes 3rd.
Outstanding debut weekend for Parker DeLong. He caps off a 5th place finish yesterday with 3rd today. Kohlbecker backs up his win yesterday with 4th. Schweid is 5th. Bell is 6th. Jackson Tovo is 7th. Weston Workman will come home in 8th. Ethan Tovo and Max Stallone complete the top 10 here at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Weisenberg did get to the line just barely. You see the car parked under the starter's gantry. He's credited with 11th place, and his chances of clawing closer to Weston Workman in the championship all go away in the final couple of corners here in Elkhart Lake. Wow. High drama. Robusto is the race winner on the road, but remember, there still is a steward's review that involves this car along with the 22 of Jeremy Fletcher that has to be dealt with post-race. Nevertheless, on the road, it is the second win of the season for Will Robusto. He won from pole in the second race of the year back at Sonoma, but since then had not been on the podium. Best finish since then, in fact, had been a 6th place finish at VIR. Yesterday managed just 19th after a penalty for contact with Fletcher. But nevertheless, today was his day. As the last cars cross the line and take the checkered flag, that's Rutledge Wood back for another weekend in Toyota GR Cup and having a great time. Crosses the line and sees the checkered flag with a big thumbs up from behind the wheel. Well, 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 this is one that we'll be talking about for a while. Have to wonder what in the world happened to Weston Workman, who went from in a solid second with perhaps a chance to make a lunge for the lead on the final lap if he wanted to, all the way down to 8th with what appeared to be perhaps a technical issue of some description, but still was able to salvage a top 10 finish on a day when his championship rivals, well, Jacksonville did finish a couple positions ahead, but not in the big points. And on the final lap, Weisenberg fell down to 11th. Will Robusto, by 2.1 seconds, picks up that win, his second of the year. Ethan Goulart comes home second. Nice stretch for him. That is now his 4th podium in the last 5 races. Came in 4th in points, 52 points back. I may have counted him out a tad too early. That was a good point stay for him, and he is now at least in the conversation going into the final 4 races of the season. Meanwhile, Parker DeLong, what a debut weekend for him. He nearly won the race yesterday, settled for 5th, does fight his way to the podium today ahead of yesterday's winner, Spike Kohlbecker, and Max Schweid, another strong day, finishes in the 5th spot. A little bit further down the order, looking for the first of the Legends drivers, and it goes to Livio Galanti down in 17th overall. Congratulations to him. Farron Davis, 2nd in the Legends category, and Andrew Gilliland. Really good day for the Toyota executive. Finishes 3rd in the Legends class, 21st overall. Big crash for Christian Weir. See him down the order. Happy to see him climb out of the car under his own power. Tough day also for Jeremy Fletcher, who ran at the front, had pole position, in fact, and led the early stages of this race, only to have some kind of an issue. We presume it had to do with contact with this driver, Will Robusto. That incident still under review and won't be resolved until after the race. But for now, a chance for Will to celebrate. A hard-fought win here today. He had to scrap and claw for it, and when the chaos broke out behind him, it left him in firm control. Able to drive away to the win by 2.1 seconds. And he arrives in victory lane, where in just a few moments, DJ Clark will have a chance to chat with our race winner. Hey, DJ.
Hey, Ryan. Hey, Will, another victory for you on this season. You got to breathe easy in the last couple of laps, but it was not easy up to that point.
Yeah, Weston Workman, he kept me there, so had to be on top of it the whole race.
What was it like? We saw him just poking his nose this way and that way. Was it forcing you to look in that rearview mirror, or were you able to keep your eyes focused forward?
I was definitely looking in the mirror, but I think he was just trying to get us 2 away from the pack. He kept flashing his lights at me and pulling off from behind me, and I was like, okay, we can set some good laps here and then try to pull away here.
Well, that's exactly what you did. That's exactly what you were able to accomplish. Will Robusto, welcome back to the top step.
Thank you.
That's a good one for him. Really strong day. And that whole team, RVA Graphics Motorsports, had a great weekend, didn't they? When you think about the fact Spike Kohlbecker got the win yesterday. So a sweep of the weekend for the team. That's a lot to be pleased with. Plenty to celebrate, leaving Elkhart Lake. Goulart and DeLong, too, will stand on the podium with this young man, Will Robusto, who gets the congratulations of all down in victory lane. Here's how the race played out. It was Jeremy Fletcher on pole position, and he led early on. in his black and orange machine. Behind him, a little bit of chaos broke out, but we were able to stay green. Robusto and Fletcher, they battled yesterday, and it came to tears. Had another coming together here today. Still waiting on the ultimate resolution of that conflict. Good battles, though, all throughout the pack, as we're used to seeing in the series. There we saw the two. Perhaps that's the issue that's being reviewed. Nevertheless, there was an issue and a crash for Christian Weir. He was all right, but it brought out a full course yellow on the restart. Chaos erupting this way and that. It opened up the door for Will Robusto to get to the front of the field. Ethan Goulart doing battle here with Jackson Bell. Problems late in the going for Weston Workman. It cost him at least a second place result. The points leader has to settle for just 8th today, and it left Will Robusto to take an unchallenged victory by 2 seconds in race 2 at Road America.